Now, we have to keep in mind that China's industrialization essentially is a process of farmers turning into industrial labor in urban cities. This is what we call the migrant labor. But in more recent years, as the living costs in cities are rising, and also the opportunities in their homelands, rural areas, are also becoming more abundant. There's actually a trade-off for these workers that they go back their hometown during the spring break, spring festival break, and then usually they come back. But for a lot of them, especially in this time where we have the coronavirus breakout, and they've been staying at home for a long time, a couple of weeks already, and they find that their small agribusiness in their hometown can sustain a fairly comfortable living. For a lot of these people, they usually own a couple of acres of land where they raise a small agribusiness, raise pigs, chicken, produce vegetables for the cities. These businesses are getting more viable, in my opinion, because of the infrastructure development in these hometowns, as well as the e-commerce platform. Used to be the middleman in the agribusiness, eats much of the profit, so that's not very profitable for the farmers to make a living. Now, all of a sudden, this middleman role has been cut out by companies like Alibaba and JD.com here in China, such that all of a sudden this business is very viable. So I think it represents a long-term trend that many of the migrant workers are not going to come back to the cities anymore. They're going to stay at their home, stick with their agribusiness, and might be actually a good thing for them.
A good thing for them, but what does it mean for manufacturing? Because this is kind of the backbone, isn't it?
Yes. Well, we are rapidly seeing we're seeing the rapid rise of labor costs in China. This is essentially the story of the Phillips curve. As more labor from farmlands, from rural area, is getting exhausted in terms of turning into industrial labor, the wages rise, and this is actually also a trade, what's called a factor price equalization phenomenon. In other words, among trading nations, as country gets more involved in trade, the factor price, wage being one factor price, tends to equalize among trading nations. It has happened to, say, Japan, South Korea, most of the Northeast Asian countries, and China is included. I mean, we're seeing a rapid rise of wages in China, and inevitably, that's why the labor-intensive, sort of lower-end manufacturing is becoming more and more difficult here in China. And we're seeing these companies moving out of China into other countries, say in Bangladesh, in Africa, in Southeast Asia countries. That's just a long-term trend that's very difficult to reverse. And I think it's going to be like that for a long time to come.
It's going to be